percent of change is any numerical change expressed as a percent. Okay, and the way we find it is equal to the change divided by the original number. Okay, so to find a percent of change, we take whatever the change is, the difference between the two numbers, and we divide it by the number we started with. Now, if it is a percent increase, the new number is larger than the original number, and the percent is positive. If we have a percent decrease, the new number is less than the original number, and the percent is negative. So for a percent increase, we've gone up. For a percent decrease, we've gone down. When we do this division, change divided by original number, we get a decimal, which we then convert to a percent. Now, to remember that we have this decimal and percent. To go from a decimal to a percent, we move 2 places to the right, and that's easy to remember because D comes before P, so if you write it down, it tells you which direction to move. So from decimal to percent, you move from the D to the P 2 places. If you were going backwards, you'd move from the percent to the decimal 2 places. All right. So here what we're going to do, if my original number is 20 and my final number is 23, did I have an increase or a decrease? Increase. Right, so I have a percent increase. So I know my answer needs to be positive. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that change. Now to find the change, I'm going to do 23 minus 20. And I'm going to divide it by the original number, which was 20. So it gives me 3 over 20, which I can do in my head. I probably could actually. 0.15. But I didn't want to know the decimal, I want to know the percent. So I'm going to move 2 places to the right, and that's a 15% increase. For our second example, I'm going from 25 to 17, so I'm going to have a percent decrease. So it's going to be negative. Now, you can either do 25 minus 17 or you can do 17 minus 25. If you do 17 minus 25, you're going to get your negative number. So usually what I say is to find the change, I would do the new minus the original, and that'll always give you your positive or your negative. And then you don't have to think about it, but it doesn't really matter. So 17 minus 25 divided by my original, which is 25. So 17 minus 25 is going to give me that negative 8. And I'm going to divide negative 8 by 25. And I get negative 0.32. Which if I move 2 places over, that gives me negative 32%. 66. So it's going to keep going negative 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4 forever and ever and ever. So how do we deal with that? I can't write 4.54 forever and ever percent. So I'm going to move over 2 places. 5, and this 4 is going to tell me that that stays the same. So I will say always do to the 10th unless otherwise stated. So just always do the 10th unless it specifically says to do the 100th or something like that. Okay.
I thought that was a W. Sorry.
Oh, here?
Yeah, I was like, what did, no,
Oh, no, I'm
there. Because those two sixes, they kind of look like two
oh,
squares.
sorry.
So I was like,
I'll write
W.
more clearly. Okay, original to final, I'm going up, so it's a percent increase, so it's going to be positive. 40 minus 24 divided by 24. That's the key to remember. You have to divide by the first number, not the second number. So 40 minus 24 helps if you push the correct buttons on your calculator. And I'm going to get repeating sixes. So when I move this one 2 over, what is this 6 going to do to that 6? It's going to make it a 7. So it's going to be 66.7%. And it's positive. Okay, so hold on. When I go here, I'm going to have, once I move, I'm going to be 66.6s forever. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, I want to stop with 1 decimal place, so I want it to end here. So when that happens, I'm going to look at the number right immediately next to it. If this is 5 or bigger, this will go up. If this is 4 or less, it will stay the same. So because this was a 6, that makes that 6 a 7. Does that help? Same thing. We're just going to do 12.1 minus 9.8 divided by 9.8. It's an increase, so it's positive. So I get 2.3 divided by 9.8. which gives me 0.2346938, blah, 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 as my son would say. I move 2 places over, so I have that 23. Now, what's going to happen with this 4? Is it going to stay a 4 or is it going to go up? It's going to go up because that's a 6. So 23.5%. 500 to 131, that's a decrease, so it's negative. So I got negative 369 over 500, which is going to give me negative 0.738. So my percentage you get percent of change with like real world examples a lot because we do percent changes in money and things like that. So we want to do is we're going to look at the number of cruise ships in North America increased 18% from 2000 to 2005. So this is the original, and that would be the new. Okay, so if there are 192 ships in 2005, that's the new. And we want to know how many are there in 2000. So we don't know the original. But I do know that my percent was 18%. Well, now I want to turn that percent to a decimal because I have to turn percents to decimals to be able to do anything with them. So I'm moving 2 places this way. So I'm going to start here, go 2 places that way. So this is 0.18. Okay. So if you think about it as a formula, actually let me put it. If I do new minus original divided by the original gives me my percent, I can plug in what I have. I have the new and I have the percent. What I don't have is the original. So my new is 192. Well, I need something to take the place of the original, so we can use any variable. we would like. Do you want to use X? You could use P. You could use B for boats. Whatever. What letter would you guys like to use? C for cruise ship? Okay. So now I need to solve for C. I have this C in the denominator, so I need to get it out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides by C. And these two C's are going to cancel. And I'm going to get 192 minus C is equal to 0.18 C. So I want all my C's together. So since I have C's alone over here, I'm going to move this C to be with that C. Well, that's like a 1, right? I'm an imaginary 1.
So it's a 19.
Well, it's 0.18, so it's actually going to be 1.18. Does that make sense? So I'm going to have 192 is equal to 1.18 C. Just going to like that. Divide by 1.18. So 192 divided by 1.18. Okay, I get 162.7 and then some other stuff. Can I have 0.7 of a cruise ship? No. When you're doing percents, a lot of times things have been rounded, so I'm going to round this up to that there were 163 ships. So that would be my final answer. Because I can't have a seventh of a cruise ship hanging around out in the ocean. It's going to sink. Or not seventh, 7/10. Right? It just that you can't have pieces of cruise ships. They don't work. Make sense? Okay, this is the same idea. We have the new cost. We don't know the original cost. We do have the percent. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug it into the formula. New minus original divided by original. You don't have to write as much that way. So I have the new, which is 33,408 minus the original. Now I don't want to use the O because O's look like zeros, and that can be confusing. So we'll give it a T for tuition. Okay, and it can't be 5.4%, so I have to change that 5.4% to a decimal. And move 2 places. I have to put a 0 there to hold it. So it's 0.054. Multiply both sides by T. And I get 33,408 minus T is equal to 0.054 T. Oops. Add T to both sides. And you get 33,408 is equal to 1.054 T. Divide both sides. Okay. The way tax works, right? We have our purchase price plus the tax is equal to the money we have to pay. Correct? Well, tax is found by doing percent times the purchase price. Okay, so to find a final cost with tax, there are 2 ways to do it. Method 1, we're going to find the tax in the first step, and in the second step, we're going to add to the purchase price. Okay, so this is a 2-step method. For method 2, we're going to find the total in 1 step. Okay. So I'm going to do method 1 first. All right. We have 7.25% tax. I'm going to move 2 decimal places over, so it's 0.0725. And the cost of the merchandise is $28.62. So I'm going to take, to find the tax, I take that $28.62 and I multiply it by 0.0725. Okay, so $28.62. That gives me $2.07. It's actually 2.07495, but you don't have parts of pennies, right? So we just round it. $2.07. And then to get the total, I take that $28.62 and I add the $2.07 to it. To get $30.69. So this would be the total had to be paid. Okay. What we do is we take the tax plus 1 times the purchase price. Okay, and the reason we do the plus 1 is because the 1 is accounting for the purchase price and then the percentage is counting for the tax. And so you do it in 1 step instead of 2. So we're adding the tax and the purchase price at the same time by adding that plus 1. So we're going to take 1 plus 0.0725. Well, that's just 1.0725 times the purchase price of 28.62. And I'm still going to get $30.69. And that's my total. So 2 steps, 1 step, same total. This is a matter of preference. Do you want to find the tax and then add it, or do you want to just add 1 to the tax and then multiply once? It's totally up to you. We'll do this again. My tax, I move 2 over, so it's 0.0685. If I do method 1, I do 24.99 times my tax. And I get $1.71. This is tax. And then the total would be that $24.99 plus the $1.71 to get $26.70. Or I could do method 2, where I take that $24.99 and I multiply it by 1.0685, and I'll get $26.70 in 1 step. More fun than tax. Discounts happen when you take the purchase price and you subtract a sale percent. And the sale percent is found the same way that tax is. It's the percent times the price. Gives you the discount. So we can do this in 2 methods too. First, find the discount and then subtract. Or we can do it in 1 step where we multiply by 1 minus the discount percent. So with tax it's 1 plus, with the discount it's 1 minus. So just a matter of preference again. For method 1, I'm going to find the discount. It's 20% discount off of $85. So 20% is 0.2. So 0.2 times 85 gives me 17. And then if I take 85 and I subtract 17 from it, I get $68. That's his discounted price. Or I can do 85 times 1 minus 0.2. Well, 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8. And if I do 85 times 0.8, I'll get $68. Okay, originally cost $14.89 and it's 40% off. So how much is it? Well, $14.89 times 40% means that we're going to take off $5.96. So $14.89 minus $5.96. We're going to pay $8.93 for that frame. Or method 2. We do 14.89 times 1 minus 0.4. And I'm going to get $8.93. Does anybody know?